Back. We are going to kick it off with another great panel here with some powerful, successful women. They're just going to drop some awesome knowledge. A lot of them are successful individual agents, gone to teams, a mismatch of all of them, but just all of them are crushing it in our market here. So I'm excited to lead this group here and have a great conversation. We're going to start with the great Lauryn Eadie. Lauryn, come on up. Lauryn is a lifelong Reston native who once dreamt of becoming a doctor. Oh, look at that. You know? So next best thing, we're a real estate agent. Go all the way down if you could. Lauryn has always been passionate about helping people. After navigating the purchase of her third home at the young age of 26, Lauryn realized she belonged in real estate. Today, as owner of, how do you say it? Circadian. I just don't want to, sir? Circadian. Nail it? Close? Circadian Group, Realty Group, LLC. Lauryn has built her qualified team around one defining principle. The client always comes first, which is awesome. If you happen to catch Lauryn during the elusive off hours, you will find her hosting a family dinner with her husband, Sebastian, and 4 kids and beloved poodle, Bacon. Bacon, I like that. We just had lunch there, right? Spending time with friends and traveling, one of Lauryn's favorite places to visit is her family's cabin at Deep Creek Lake, where she goes to unwind and charge. Miss Lauryn Eadie. Next, we have Miss List with Elizabeth Kline. Come on up. Elizabeth has been a dominant force in the sales industry for over 2 years. The majority of her early career she spent with Wyndham Resorts, where she received numerous awards as one of the company's top all-time sales producers of its real estate and all-time and timeshare enterprises. Timeshare industry, that is tough. You can get your chops on that one. No judgment on that one. Before sales, Elizabeth grew up in Pottsville, PA, graduated from Bucknell University. Another Pottsville, PA, or just PA, Rick? Just PA, okay, gotcha. She worked as a CPA with PricewaterhouseCoopers. This is a powerhouse over here. She has received numerous industry awards, including Top Producer, Multi-Million-Dollar Sales Club, and most recently, Elizabeth was voted as Best Real Estate Agent in 2023 by Northern Virginia Magazine. On a personal note, Elizabeth is a fun and outgoing agent with a passion for working with people. Elizabeth currently lives in West Virginia with her husband, Kevin, who's hiding out back here, and their 2 little girls. I said West Virginia? West Springfield, Virginia. Reading is hard. Reading is hard. I was so distracted by Kevin taking pictures of my backside over here. It got me all fired up. So she also has a great podcast. I was on an episode last month, so if you want to check it out. My views are struggling, so get it on there. I need to get my views up. Next person, Miss Cheryl Abrams Davis. Come on up here. Oh, I hear Cheryl's crowd in the back there. She's a native Washingtonian, has a degree in business from Trinity University in Washington, D.C., and a graduate of the Maryland Realtors Leadership Academy. She is an associate broker, partner, and manager with RE/MAX United Real Estate, and adept in multiple facets of the real estate industry. She is currently the president of the Maryland Association of Realtors. Thank you for your service, Ms. Cheryl. And she's on the executive committee for Bright MLS and serves as their treasurer as well. Mrs. Abrams Davis has maintained her position as a top producer in the marketplace for most of her career and has helped hundreds of buyers and sellers, landlords and tenants with real estate transactions for the past 22 years. She's almost as old as me, totaling close to 800 units as a solo agent. You were named RE/MAX International Maryland Manager of the Year in 2023? You knew I was going to make fun of that, didn't you? Cheryl currently resides in Prince George's County with her husband, a 24-year Air Force veteran. Tell him thank you for his service. They have a blended family of 5 children and 2 grandchildren. Cheryl has a penchant for culinary arts, live music, holistic self-care, and world travel. So welcome, Cheryl. Cheryl, I need to give a quick plug for my wife. The only reason Cheryl's here is because we sent our better half to my better half to meet her first. I was at Riz Media in D.C. At the conference there, and I'm over here causing who knows what havoc. And I look over, and Meredith has a new friend in the corner, and Meredith and Cheryl just talking it up. And I was like, well, great. I sent in Meredith first. Now I can go meet Cheryl, and I found out how great she was. So I sent Meredith first, and Meredith brought me back a new friend. So thank you for coming, Cheryl. The last one, we're excited for Miss Nikki Lagouros to come up. Nikki has been on a panel with us before, and I'm going to embarrass Sarah here, but we were at MVAR maybe 2 years ago, and Nikki was on a panel, and Sarah was totally fangirling, all right, a little bit. I fangirl with Jared, and Sarah was fangirling Nikki a little bit, but Nikki's strong, got great opinions, and had a ton of spunk, and Sarah's like, I like her. So we invited Nikki to come out and be on a panel of ours, and she crushed it there as well. She's distinguished as a Reston's top-selling agent, has consistently been recognized in Real Trends Top 10 for her outstanding production since 2020. With a reputation for excellence, Nikki has become synonymous with premium property transactions, earning accolades for her commitment to clients and her profound knowledge of the real estate market. Welcome, Miss Nikki Lagouros. And Nikki is wearing the outfit that I was wearing yesterday, so I'm glad that it didn't match. We were just ducked that one. So the shoes as well. Yes, I have mine were a different shade of color, Laura, but close. I am definitely the thorn between all these roses up here. So I'm going to let them do a lot of the heavy lifting here. So we're going to start with let's start with Miss Elizabeth over there. What is the secret sauce for what you use to attract clients and sell properties at such a high level?
Thank you, Donny.
Thank you.
This is also formal. Thank you all for letting us come up here and just speak our minds. I think it's going to be great. I just met all of these wonderful panelists backstage, so I'm excited to hear what they have to say as well. Okay, so what's the secret sauce? Okay. All right, here's the thing. The secret sauce is that truly there is no secret. There's no secret. There's nothing that I know or that any of us know up here that you don't have access to or you haven't already heard or you haven't already been exposed to. The secret is executing on what you know works, right? It's like, oh, I want to lose weight. How do I have? Well, you eat good and you exercise. There's no secret, but it's so hard for so many people, and it's the same thing with real estate, right? So, what are some of the things that help with the success? I would say is consistency in what you do that works. Stick with it. Definitely don't try to do every single thing that you hear. Find something that works for you and be consistent with it. So
I love that. Number one trait of successful realtors is consistency, right? Avoiding the ups and downs. Good answer to secret sauce. Miss Nikki, you ready? What's the secret sauce?
So I don't know if my mic is on. Is it on? No. There we go. Thank you. For me, I would totally agree with what you said, but just a little kind of backstory is I got my license the last couple months of 2016. By 2020, I had sold 142 houses and was Real Trends #1 agent in Northern Virginia. And it's not because I know anything more than you. You could come and shadow me for the day. I could give you the complete playbook of what I do, and half of you will never do it, right? And that's a kind of a shitty thing to say. I hate to say it, but it's true, right? It's all about taking what you know and executing it. And what I did when I started is I failed. I failed quickly. I learned what worked. I kept it, and I kept going, and I took a lot of risks. Getting my license was a risk, right? But I had my back up against the wall. So I would just say discipline. My days are structured. 9 to 11 is prospecting. 12 to 1 is vacuuming. 1 to 6 is
Hold on.
is appointments.
Hold on. 12 to 1 is vacuuming?
I can attest that she means that.
Yeah.
She vacuums for an hour a day?
I have video backup.
It's good for anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the vacuum with the green light on it, so it shows you all the dirt.
Casey,
But
instead of
listen.
napping, try vacuuming. What do you think?
You need to be disciplined in your follow-up. So most of my leads are online, and if there's one thing that you walk away with here is structure your day, spend 2 to 3 hours on follow-up. I promise you will outpace and outlive every other agent who's only going to do it for a month.
I love it. Awesome advice. There is some secret sauce in there, Nikki. Miss Cheryl, what do you got?
Okay, these aren't working.
Yes, you got it.
Hello.
There you go.
All right. First of all, I'm probably the most seasoned agent here today. I started my career in 2002, so I've had the luxury of being in
No,
the business
Sarah's
a
back
little
there.
bit longer.
Sarah's way older. Where's Sarah at? No,
She's back there.
Sarah's like, not nice. Sorry, go ahead, Cheryl.
But anyway, at the end of the day, one, you have to know your stats, know your statistics, because when you're out there talking to buyers and sellers, they want to know, like, what have you done? Like, how relevant are you in the market? Reviews are critical. I literally have a link tree account. And what I do is I have everything about me in this link tree. It has my bio, it has reviews, it has what we do for what we do for sellers, what we do for buyers. When people know that you know your craft, they come to you. The same things that make you pick a certain nail salon or a certain doctor or a certain, any kind of provider that you're using, those are the same things that people are looking for from us. They want to know that we're going to perform, that we're going to be professional, that we're going to give them the right services. And I have a human resources background. So for 15 years before I got into real estate, I was an HR manager. So I had to really understand people, how to get them to do things that I needed to get them to do. So I did a deep dive. I did some studying on people. There's a book called Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands. It helps you understand the different communities that we serve and how they do business. So educate yourself so that you understand your customers and your clients so you can be a better service to them.
I love it.
And then last thing,
Yep.
we have a business plan for a reason. The business plan is there to help guide us on where we're going to go. So it's October, so most people should be in the space where you're planning your business plan for 2025 if you haven't already done it. My business plan is on my phone. Every day when I look at my phone, my plan is right here in my face as a screensaver. Guess
Ooh,
what?
as a screensaver.
Yes.
Ooh.
Every time you pick up your phone, you're looking at your business plan. You're like, did I make my calls today? Are my numbers where they're supposed to be? Know your numbers. Know where you're supposed to be. And when you're not there, do things outside the box to get to those numbers, right?
I love it.
Real estate is not just here locally, but it's also nationally and globally. And so I'm in a space where I decided to take my business nationally. I know people almost in at least 12 states. Guess what? I'm expanding my business and saying, hey, I'm connecting with agents in those states saying, hi, I have family and friends here. We have a lot of similarities in the way that we do business, and I need closers. Can I count on you? I make the connections. Right now, I have 4 active buyers and sellers in other states that are looking for properties, and I have another 6 that are in the process of getting ready to go there. So those are some things that you can do.
I don't think people do that enough. We just say people are moving out of the area, and we let them move instead of proactively trying to find a great real for them and matching it up. And, they're active clients for you. I love that that's your mindset for it. Miss Lauryn, how you doing? What's the secret sauce?
So I'm very much going to second what Nikki said. We could tell you exactly what we do and what systems we use, and the difference is that we will do it. There are probably 3 things that I would say are going to help you attract more clients. The number 1 word to describe me when people meet me is intense, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay. It's not friendly, it's not outgoing, it's intense. But passion and confidence, this is what attracts people to you. Passion in what you do, why you're doing it, and the confidence you have is what turns the client easier for us than for you.
I love that.
Short
I
and
love
sweet.
that. The passion and intensity. It's scaring me a little bit. That's why I put Lauryn over there. So I was just joking. Totally joking. Memorable experience, success stories that maybe have helped shape kind of you professionally or personally in your lives, something you can point to, be like, this really helped make a difference in my career, either personally or in life. And what are you thinking? Miss Nikki, I'm going to start with you.
For me, it kind of what you said to the confidence is I had this motto, fake it till you make it, because when I got my license at the end of 2016, I lived in Maryland and I got a Virginia license, and I don't even know why. because somebody told me to. They're like, go get your
that
license.
logic is flawed a little bit.
I know, right?
Okay.
So I got the license, and then I went to the person who told me to get it. I'm like, okay, what do I do now? And she's like, well, I don't know. I can't take you. Like, go figure it out. So I joined a team, and my team leader said, hey, if you move to Reston, you can take over. And I was like, okay. Because, you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes ignorance is good. So I moved to Reston, and I left the team, and then I took over Reston, and I was like, oh, that was easy. So my point is that...
I have so many words in my head
Lauryn,
right now.
she's trying to fight with Lauryn over there. Lauryn also works the Reston market, so they're...
The funny thing, and the point I'm
After
trying to
this, we're gonna
make
fight.
is that sometimes you just need people, or sometimes my ignorance is like, it worked out for me. I was like, I didn't know any better. I didn't know that real estate agents were working for 10, 15, 20 years trying to do this. I had no clue about what any of you guys were doing. They just told me what to do and how to do it. They said, make calls. I went on Zillow. I'm a huge Zillow agent. So if everyone says Zillow sucks, maybe for you. For me, it's been pretty good, but because of follow-up. So I would say that that's my success story. I used to print out MapQuest maps of Northern Virginia and lay them on the floor and tape them together and try to figure out how you guys would go. And my first zip code on Zillow was Falls Church City. Why? I don't know. And I would go there, and I had this little app, and they would ask me all kinds of questions about Falls Church City. I would just fake it till I make it. Just read the app. I would be like the queen of Falls Church City, didn't know shit. Right? So, I will say that confidence, though, if you act like you know what you're talking about, people will follow. And I will say something else that we didn't touch on before. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Stop talking so much to your clients. Let them talk. Get their why behind the why. Get the reason they're doing this, right? So you can help control the process through. So that's another huge thing of how you attract people.
I love that. These are great tips you're dropping. I love this. Miss Elizabeth, you got anything, story in your life that helps shape you?
This is a tough question. I don't really have a direct answer, but I'll
Elizabeth,
share.
If you
Yes, tell
thought
me.
it was a tough question, you should not have put your name next to, I want to answer this question. I'm messing with you.
You're so messing with me right now. I do love being at Samson Properties, but Donny sometimes.
Yes.
No. I'll just say, what did Sarah say?
Can somebody escort Sarah out of here?
Okay, Donny, can I answer the question while she's...
Yes.
okay.
Cheryl can go while
Go ahead.
Elizabeth's getting her thoughts together. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, so in 2008, there was this thing called the biggest recession ever in America. And I remember, and there's one person in this room, I'm not gonna call out any names or look at anybody, but we were working in the same office in Prince George's County. And I remember day by day, banks were closing, like everything was just going to hell in a handbasket, like at 100 miles an hour. And I remember not paying attention to the news, not worrying about any of that stuff that they were talking about out there. I didn't know what I was doing. I just want to say, when you're in a space where you don't know what to do, just keep moving, just keep doing something and trying things until you figure it out. So to make a long story short, I ended up selling like the most real estate that I had ever sold ever in 2008. And it was my biggest year at that time, where I like crossed over like to something crazy, like, way over like 10 million or something, which was a lot back then. And I remember being so excited, and everybody else, I would say 98% of my office was just not in that space. But what I did was I had to change my business. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that short sales was like going to be like the newest and best thing, because short sales went way up, and I became like the short sale queen for like the next 2 or 3 years. And I was able to like still pay my bills. I didn't lose any houses. I just made it. And when I look back at that, I said, you know what? I feel like I'm Teflon Donna, because if I can make it through that, I honestly believe that I can make it through any market. So you have to believe in yourself, and you have to keep moving.
I love that. And if anybody else had sold during that time, she started talking about short sales, and I immediately started shivering down the back of, thinking back to, I know Lauren's in the same boat. She's like, oh, don't remind me. Those were the bad days. Those were.
certification.
The short sale certification. I almost broke the window in my office several times with the handheld phone through the window talking to these banks. But good on you that you did well during the short sales. But one point is true is like if this market, and we're in a healthy market, it's fine. But when people throw us curveballs, like if you lived through 07, 08, 09, 2010, you are tough. You are ready for this whatever real estate market's coming because that was much tougher. I mean, Casey talked before about 35 houses in McLean and one under contract. That was every neighborhood. That was just the way it was, So, yeah. Elizabeth, did we come up with our story
All right,
yet?
I'm gonna put a little spin on this.
There you go. I like it.
So, a lot of us sometimes have friends or family members that come to us to help them as a real estate agent, and because of your familiarity with that person, it's very, very easy to skip steps and to kind of cut corners and not do your full presentation because you're like, oh, well, they already know me and they already know I'm good at what I do. So I have an example. One of my daughter's friends' moms had approached me and kind of was like, oh, we might want to rent, we might want to buy, we're not really sure. And we were sort of friendly. And I did skip some steps with her. And I, kind of skipped the buyer consultation, which I always did, by the way. So I don't know why people haven't always done buyer consultations. This is something I think is super basic. But I skipped a few steps with her and, I kind of lost control of the deal. And then we were coming down to writing her offer. And I remember specifically she asked me about waiving the appraisal. And if she was anybody else, I would have had a completely different answer. I would have said, no, we're not. We are waiving the appraisal. You're not going to get this house otherwise. Here's your risk factor. Here are the comps. Here's what we're. But with her, I was like, well, yeah, you can probably keep it. It's fine. And I was writing her offer, and I had this terrible feeling in my stomach. And I'm like, I did her such a disservice. She knows me. She trusts me. She's the one looking at me for guidance, and I am failing her. And I picked up the phone, and I said, she goes, hey, what's up? And I'm like, well, I need to apologize. I said, I have treated you like a friend and not a client, and I want to flip the switch right now before we lose this house because I said, I know you're going to lose it. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, here's what I really need to tell you, not what you want to hear. And I told her, and she's like, okay, change it. And I sent the offer in, and it was Rolf Kratz, was the listing agent, who's now with Samson, because Samson's the best, by the way. Okay, so I sent the offer in, and Rolf was like, okay, we're down to you and one other party. And he said, it was a complete coin toss until you called and said, we're waiving the appraisal. He goes, it went to you. I said, I knew it. So I called her back, awesome. Let them know the good news. But I think that's something like, you are a professional, but you're also a person, right? You have your friends and you have your clients, and sometimes they mix. And so you have to be sure that you're walking the line of how you need to service that person or that relationship at the time that it fits.
Awesome. Great story. And keeping your professionalism even with friends and family. Yeah. Miss Lauryn, you got anything?
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so mine's a little bit different. It's probably more personal based. And I tell this story because most people do not realize, but I'm going to tell like 20 years of a story as quickly as I can. So I got my license. I joined in 2006. Bottom fell out. I was 26 years old. Like if you were going to hire a listing agent, you weren't hiring me. You were hiring the guy that sold your parents' house, who was 50-something years old and had a lot of experience. Or at least that's what I told myself. But I hustled and I did a lot of open houses. Then I got pregnant. Then my water or my gas or my electric bill was teetering on not getting paid. So they alternated getting paid and they got turned off a few times. Real estate is not pretty. I don't sit up here now 20 years later, wearing what I wear without having the hustle that I had to put in because I was getting foreclosure notices. That's the stuff people don't talk about. I got pregnant. That's great timing. Mom, can I charge milk to your credit card? But then I started realizing I needed to put myself in a different mindset. Fast forward, I doubled my business every year from 2006, which I made $1,100, not hard to do. Didn't even cover the gas mileage of all the rentals I did. But then I got pregnant again, and I doubled again, and I got pregnant again, and I doubled again. And
So the secret is have babies. Arturo, you got that under control? All right, good.
put pressure on yourself. Whatever it is, put pressure on yourself, whatever that fuels you. Because when I got to a point about 2 years ago, one of my sons, I have 4 kids, one of my sons was having a birthday party. And a friend at the party said, wow, you guys have a really nice house. And my son, this could make me cry. He said, my mom works really hard. That is what I want my kids to see. Nothing
That's awesome.
else.
Jump in there, Nick.
I will say something. The reason I got my license in 2016 is because I lost everything. I quit my job for over a year to take care of my dad who had cancer. And we had to sell one of our cars that we had, my husband's car, so we could make our mortgage payment. We lived in Bethesda, and we had nothing anymore. And I didn't want my kids to know, because I grew up super poor, and I didn't want my kids to be aware of what was happening. And so getting my real estate license was like a last-ditch effort. My husband, we got into this huge fight, and he was like, you have to get a job, and you have to realize you're never going to make the kind of money you used to make. And I was like, bet, okay. So
Hold my beer.
She won.
So I got my license, but it's true. It's like when your back is up against the wall, which this job does to you. I mean, there's months, just because I sell X amount of houses, there's months that probably every month I'm like, am I ever going to sell another house? Like, what the F? But so if your back is up against the wall, I mean, you will do anything and everything. And that's kind of the mentality you have to have.
I want to just comment on that, because I think sometimes people look at the panelists or whoever comes up on stage and they think, oh, well, they're always successful, they're always happy, they're always doing well, they're always feeling like they can close, and we don't. I mean, there are times when you think, oh my God, like what if I can't ever sell another house? Or you're in a rut, or but you can't stay there. You just, it truly is all about your mindset. And one of the things that I recently started doing was every morning I try to do a little meditation. And I'm not sitting in any certain way, but it's just relaxing and just listening to just to really like relax and just realize you're part of something bigger. It's all going to be okay. Whatever bumps you hit in the road yesterday are not going to be there forever, and you can overcome it. So we are all human. We are all, not infallible. And it's the same thing. I remember when I was in timeshare, I remember I went to my friend's house one night, and I remember I was like crying, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm never going to sell another package. It's over. I lost it. Like, I can't do it anymore. And he just looked at me, and he's like, what's wrong with you? And he gave me a hug, and I was like, oh, I guess there's nothing wrong with me. And I went back the next day, and I sold. And I'm like, you have to get out of that. It's your mindset. So just be confident in yourself. You can do this. You have all the faculties, you have all the resources, everything's online, you can call any one of us. You have to believe in yourself. It's your confidence, it's your mindset. And I don't know how to have you get that, but that's kind of part of the secret sauce also.
I do that meditation thing at night at 7 o'clock. It's called Xanax. It's pretty fantastic. I mean, I am meditating.
Yeah. And Nikki, how do I like to take mine?
Lauren does hers with a heat pad. What do you use?
A heating pad and a bottle of Prosecco.
There you go. We are all meditating.
We are clearly. Oh, my next question. That was going to pivot into the question of when you're navigating challenging moments, what do you do to bounce back quickly?
Heating pad and a bottle of Prosecco.
Question. It was Prosecco and Xanax. I feel like they've answered that one, but anything else other than meditation, Xanax, and Prosecco that you do to navigate difficult moments? Dancing, all right.
A
Dancing
dirty group chat.
Group chat?
I said a dirty group
A dirty group chat. Wow.
Like venting. Sorry,
Oh,
not like...
Panel. It's not working. All right. Nikki, anything else?
I don't know
Cheryl.
what you guys were all thinking.
Let's
Cheryl,
get back on track.
You should all go to church on Sunday.
Cheryl, what do you do to bounce back quickly during your challenging moments?
Okay, so look, this is real talk because you know what? A lot of times we do think when we're out there and people are on this panel and they're saying, oh my gosh, they sold X number of units and they're this and they're that and everybody looks like they're happy. Yes, it is not like that all the time, okay? I promise you. You could be having a good ride for years, and all of a sudden the brakes are on. And I had that moment. I'm going to be transparent with you. I had that moment this year. This year started off really slowly. The interest rates were high. I mean, I sold homes, but it was a little slow. And I said to myself, okay, what am I doing? Why do I feel like I have two left feet? Like, what's going on here? But you know what it was? It was me. It was me. It was my energy. I wasn't bringing the right stuff to the table. It was me. Sometimes you have to check yourself. Sometimes you have to look in the mirror and say, what are you doing different? Because obviously other people are out here selling houses and they're getting it done. So why are you having this hiccup? And so I had to have that talk with myself. I actually took some time off. I went on vacation. I said, let me get myself together. I came back. I regrouped. All of a sudden, I had 10 listings. I had 4 buyers under contract because I came back different, renewed, energized. Sometimes you have to know when to take a break and step back and check yourself and get yourself back on track.
I love that. Go ahead, Lauryn.
I would say it's an old cliche, but truly look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Honestly, who you're talking with on a daily basis. Like, we can all have, Nikki and I text a lot. Like, I'll be like, okay, today was horrible, blah, blah, blah. And we'll go at that for like 4 minutes. And then it's like, okay, well, but next, like, what's, you know what I mean? Like, you got to move out of that. And you got to pick the people that you're surrounding yourself with and the people you're talking to and you're venting to. Because sometimes you vent to somebody and you could be there for hours. But it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, pick your people around you. Pick your tribe. Because it helps to lift you up when you're down and get you back going the right way when you need that. So, excellent advice. Anything else on challenging moments before I move on that isn't a dirty group chat or Prosecco? All right, there
You're
we
welcome.
go. We're keeping it fun up here, Lauryn. We're having a great time. What are some technology systems or resources that you use that you could not function without? What could you not do without in your daily business? I'll start with Miss Lagouros over here, and you can't say Xanax again.
Okay.
She goes, okay. I'll
So
come up with another answer.
there's 3 things that I use every day. Obviously, I use, Zillow because that's where a bulk of my leads come in. But a Follow-Up Boss for my data system. I use Real Scout to send houses. And I just started using Fellow. Do any of you guys use Fellow? Fellow will F up your life, right? Because it will tell you when people sell their houses in your database with other people.
Oh, no.
And you'll just get
I
this
don't want
little,
to know that.
You'll just get this little email. It'll be like, Bob Smith, who was your client, 2 years ago, just sold his house, and it gives you the agent's name, and you're just like, what? Anyways, those are the ones I can't live without.
How do you spell fellow?
Fello. It's really good, though. It gives you like a little score of when they're going to sell. It sends them home values. It gives them their Zestimate, all of that. It's a good way to stay in touch.
I love that. And I don't want to know that, but we do need to know that. I mean, a lot of you guys have heard this stat a million times, but 93% of people like us say they'll use us again next time, and then 13% use us the next time. 13%. And that's a lot of what Jared was talking about too, with staying on the right side of the referral source. They're clients for life, and seeing the Bob Smith that pops up that sold his house with somebody else, that hurts and it stings, and it makes you change the way you're doing business. It probably reignites you to get back to your database in a more meaningful way, I would guess. Miss Cheryl, what technologies, what processes can you not live without?
Okay, so
Your Linktree, I know that.
I use KB Core a lot, but I also, business is relational. Sometimes people want to hear from you. I mean, it's great to have all these systems that do the work for you. So one thing that I do on top of that is every 6 months, print out a list of like all of my clients. And I check in with them like literally, I check in with my clients, whether it's a text message, an email. If I'm driving somewhere and I know I sold a house near there, I'll text them like right there at that moment and say, hey, I'm in your neighborhood. I was thinking about you. It's those little things. People just want to know you care. So everything really can't be done just by technology. It's those little touches. And I actually send magazines. My clients love the magazines. I took some people off the list, and they called me and say, I didn't get my magazine this month. So
take people off the list and make them call you?
it sounds kind of so it sounds kind of wonky or crazy, but I know that some people still like magazines. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but they really do, and that is working for me.
I like it. Miss Kline.
So it really doesn't matter what system you use, but you need a system. You need a system. I use Lofty. It used to be called Chime. I love it because I don't have to think so hard, right? I get a call, I talk to a client, I put all the notes in Lofty, I put my task for when I'm going to chat with them next, or I set them on an auto email, auto text, and I don't have to think. So if you don't have a system, it doesn't matter if you use Follow Up Boss or whatever, Lofty, KV Core, they're all going to work the same, or they're not going to work if you don't work them at all. So that's step one. And then Cheryl, I love what you said about keeping in touch with clients. So Jared talked a little bit about this morning too. So sometimes we get so transactional that we go under contract and then, okay, this is happening and that's happening and bam, 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 and we see the end of the line. And you forget there's people involved, and you forget that this is the biggest thing that's going on in their life, and they're stressed and they want to hear from you. And so I try to make a point at least once, and that may sound really low or baseline, but at least once during the transaction to physically call them and connect with them and chat with them, because they want to hear my voice. They want to know what's going on. And I may have texted and emailed them every single day since we went under contract, but it's not the same, right? So when I pick up the phone and I'm like, hey, I just wanted to touch base with you. Everything's going on track. Oh, I'm so glad you called. I was wondering about this, and I was wondering about this. And sometimes they don't want to bother you. But in that moment, when I'm having that conversation, in my head, I'm going, I just secured my Google review. I just secured future referrals. I just secured bam, bam, bam. I just secured another $100,000 from that one phone call. And if you have that mindset of, I'm going to make this phone call because it's going to make me $100,000 over the next 10 years, you're going to make that phone call. If you're going to look at it and go, oh, they're on auto set, they got an email, they got a text, everything's going fine, you're going to close and you're going to lose them. And you're going to fall into that 13%.
Right, they never
trap.
call you again. And I love what you said there, and also it kind of ties back to what Nikki said. 2 ears, 1 mouth. You listened, you called, and just wanted to hear what they had to say, where they were at, what did they need.
So I have found that that's the number one thing to build trust with people quickly. So I do a lot through open houses. And as people come in, if I can get them talking, I have a really good shot at getting them to use me as their buyer's agent. Get them talking. Listen to them. Take notes on what they want. Don't spill, the market's doing this and this house is wonderful. And let me tell you, they don't care. They can look around the house. They don't need you to tell them what they like. They need you to listen and to feel heard and to feel like you're going to guide them and lead them through this transaction. And that's the biggest way to gain trust. So not only listening, but giving them like really good eye contact is just, I guess, some secret sauce stuff as well. So
love it.
Go back to the sauce.
Miss Lauryn, any technologies, things you cannot live without?
Yeah, I'm a data girl. So spreadsheets, any form you want to use it in. I love a spreadsheet, a formulated one preferably. So 1,000% could not live without that. I use Agent LinkUp, which is a little bit more of a customizable system that I had somebody build out for me, which is like Follow Up Boss. And then the last thing would be my runner, honestly. So the majority of our business comes from past clients and past client referrals. And kind of going back to the touch of the personal, I cannot always, get somebody on the phone and hunt them down or whatever. So every year, our clients get a hand-dropped anniversary gift at their home, and then each of their birthdays, they get a birthday gift dropped at their home. I have, aside from picking what the gift is for each thing every year, and it's the same thing, so I pick one anniversary gift that everyone gets every year, and I pick one birthday gift that everyone gets every year, because they only have one. Then my virtual assistant sends the list for that week to my runner, and my runner drops it. And then I get text back, oh my God, was this you? Thank you. That's it.
Perfect. And little things, and you've helped leverage other people because your time, as much as it's great to connect, your time driving around to all these houses is more valuable than that.
And when you put your picture on it, it's fine. It's like you called them.
Sure,
Put
absolutely.
in a gift.
I love it. Now, work-life balance. We made some jokes earlier, but that's a struggle for everybody in the room, especially when you get super successful and you're selling lots of homes and running teams and crushing things. Like, are there any tips you guys have that helps you achieve a reasonable amount of work-life balance, whether it's with spouses and families, whatever that is? Reasonable was what made you laugh, right? It's tough to get any of that, but any tips on work-life balance? I'll start with Cheryl.
Okay, listen. Treat your business like a business, okay? You can have hours, but at some point, you will burn yourself out if you continue to work around the clock 24/7, year after year after year after year. And I know because I did it. When I started putting the brakes on when I was available, guess what happened? People said, okay, I started making appointments with everybody. It's like, thank you for calling me. Can we make an appointment for this or that? I would respond to text messages if you're in a transaction, because obviously if they're texting you and you're in a transaction with them, they need you at that moment. But treat your business like a business, and people do respect your time. We think in our minds that we have to get back to them immediately and quickly, but they understand. Most of them understand. And take time out for yourself. I take vacations often, probably every 6 weeks. I'm away for 2 or 3 days to get myself together because I've worked a long time in my lifetime, and I feel that I owe this to myself. Because if I'm not right, nobody else is going to be right. I need my headspace right. I need to make sure that I'm able to deal with all the stresses that come my way. And that's what I do for myself.
This job's not stressful, though. There's no stresses in real estate.
There's no stresses.
What do you think? Nikki, anything good for work-life balance?
I put this on my question of do not ask me
Just
because
kidding.
I have no work-life balance. My kids are out of the house.
I missed that note. Sorry.
Yeah,
Nikki.
no. My kids are out of the house, so literally, I mean, Lauren will tell you, she still has 4 kids at home, but it's nonstop all the time. And I like it like that, so I don't really have balance.
You'd be so bored. You'd be so bored.
Well, if you don't need work-life balance, you're happy with it, then that's great. Lauren, 4 kids. Anything to help with work-life balance?
I have a therapy dog. His name is Bacon. I don't know if I'm the person to ask for that because my husband is now my partner. So
Yes.
our date nights consist of both of us being on the phone, trying to figure out who's
You got
gonna
to turn it off every once in a while for a few minutes, right?
Yeah.
Then it's
you
like
know.
a dare. Who can flip their phone over longer?
Yes, exactly. The kids always kind of take a precedent, but they've been raised in this life. And so we, kind of going back to what Cheryl said, I will say, I work around the clock. I always have my phone on me. Like, I was in Nashville this weekend, a couple of glasses of wine in, I was ratifying a contract. So I work all the time. That being said, though, if it's not something that needs to be happening then I kind of create that boundary. Hey, absolutely, why don't we chat about this tomorrow? I'm available between this time and this time and this time and this time. You can make, I tell my husband and I tell all the people that have ever come into my business, do not ask people when they're available, tell them when you're available. That's all I can say.
No, I like that. And one thing that was, when I was selling, the main reason I started actually going to a team was because my kids and their activities were too important. And I didn't want to look back. I know you do those things, but I've got an appointment at 6 o'clock tonight. They don't need to know that the appointment is my kid's game. Yeah. Like, that's an appointment. They could have been a listening appointment, but I'm going on my kid's game. And if that means, like, I'm going to have a buyer's agent, or I'm going to have a full-time assistant, or I'm going to have a transaction coordinator, whatever that is in your life that helps create that, I would not have been as happy and as successful and as clear-minded and ready to go if I wasn't there for every single thing that I needed to be for my kids, because that was more important. So, like, you have to, now, if they're gone, like, I might not have work-life balance in 5 years either, but I think that creating that keeps you in the headspace that you can crush it. Because if you're not in that headspace, if you are too stressed out, now you're failing here. You don't feel like you're failing as a dad or a mom. You feel like you're failing as a spouse, and then it's all going to spiral up.
Well, and can I go back to that a little bit? You have 4 women up here on this stage. And so as a mom and a woman in real estate, I have to say, it seems less acceptable sometimes. At least I feel that. Like if I were to say, I'm going to my kid's soccer game versus I have an appointment at that time, can we pick another time? I mean, a little bit sometimes, because also I still get when people ask me if I'm, what I do, and I say, oh, I'm a realtor. And then they're like, oh, you do that like when you're not with your kids. No, my kids learned how to cook when they were 4.
I'm a realtor's kid. I don't know if my dad left or not, but I learned how to cook fish sticks when I was like 7. Donny, I'm showing houses. You got fish sticks for you and Bobby? I was like, yeah, I got it. Let's go.
My daughter was 8 when COVID started, and she would make my coffee from scratch and my eggs every morning and bring it up to me when I was on Zoom.
There you go. Resilience builds character, right? I love it.
Yeah,
Miss Cheryl, you were lifting.
I was just going to say, people don't want to hear excuses. They don't care. You can just say, my mom just passed away, and they don't care. They're still going to keep talking to you. They don't care. So it's better to just say, it's true. It's true.
No, it is true.
But it's better to just say, I have another appointment at that time. Can we pick another time or a day?
Sure. Yeah, and that it is. It's another appointment. It doesn't have to be work appointment. It's an appointment that's important
It's
to you.
not their business.
Right. Miss Elizabeth, anything to help with work-life balance?
No, I was just going to say, I think that for me, at least, work and life, it's the same because I like what I do. So, it isn't like I'm working. I'm so, stressed. I mean, yes, it can be stressful, but what I'm saying is I really enjoy what I'm doing. I don't think of it as now I'm working and I can't wait to stop so I can live my life, because it's one thing, right? It's like a fluid.
That's a great answer.
And I wouldn't be here if I didn't literally love what I do. It's because it's not work to me. So people sometimes say, oh, when are you going to retire? And I don't understand that word. Honestly, I truly don't. My parents never retired.
When I drop dead in a house,
I never grew up with that mentality. And so I retire from what? From having fun, from serving clients, from dancing, from making good money. What am I going to do that's more exciting than what I'm already doing? I have full flexibility over my time. I control everything. What am I going to retire from? So if you find your passion and you literally love what you're doing, you're always going to have a balance. And I'm not saying there's not times where I feel like I work intensely and I do need to get a little more sleep, but it's all relative, and it's cyclical. It's gonna ebb and flow. So
Love that.
There you go.
I just want to add one thing. One thing that I wish people told me when I first got into real estate was about wealth building. I think that getting into real estate, yes, you want to be a great agent, you want to be a great associate broker or broker. Well, not with Donny. I mean, you already got a good broker. But I think that we're not having that conversation enough about wealth building and when to start that and what that's going to look like for you. I believe that, yes, I think there are people here in this room who love real estate and who plan to do it as long as they're able to do it. But the reality is, at some point in your life, whenever that is, there may come a time when that may not be the right space for you, and you have to think about, what am I doing today for wealth building, for my future, for my family, so that if things slow down or if the market changes, I want to make sure that I'm good and my family is good. And I can say that one of the things that actually helped me get through that recession period was the fact that I always make sure that I'm a saver. I make sure I put away money for federal, for state, for FICA, for 401k, for a rainy day. I make sure I take that out of every check before I do anything else with that check. And I think it's important to have that conversation about making sure that we are fiscally responsible and that we are saving for that rainy day.
That's great advice. And I forget who said it earlier. I think Josh talked about investing and being on the game and not just thinking about today. But there is no forced retirement. We're not government employees where we're getting it put away for us. We have to start thinking about how are we going to build that wealth building. And I've had conversations with you about a lot of different things you do around those things. So it's great advice there. It's a little bit of a weird question, but sometimes we get great answers on it. An unpopular opinion in our industry that you feel strongly about one way or the other. I'm going to start with Lauryn because I think you probably have one maybe. Unpopular opinion that you...
All of my opinions are unpopular. I'm actually like all for this change. I think a lot of people didn't like it, but personally, I think it should have happened decades ago. I think the only downside to it is that it was like a stab in the back to buyers that have already been stabbed in the back, you know? But I actually think it's a really good change for all parties involved.
It's unpopular, but you know, I would say that we've started to hear more of that. And we had some people earlier talk about that, but from the listing side and from the buyer side, that now you feel more in control of your own destiny as opposed to what the other agent is value, whatever their value is to their client, whether they took the listing and promised to give out a really low percentage to the buyer's agent, or as a buyer's agent, you know, if they had you're in charge of your own value and your own relationship with your client, which I think is empowering. I think there's a lot of people in the room, a lot of successful realtors that have said, I'm actually making more per deal now than I was before, whether it's on the listing or buyer agent side, because we kind of have more control over what we're doing and what we're getting paid.
Well, and like when I have agents ask me on my listings, like, do you have a compensation? And I said, well, we don't have a blanket collateral. Like, we haven't discussed when my clients are expecting to work with a buyer's broker, you know? And then somebody said, so you're offering zero? And I said, no, like whatever you've decided your client should pay you and they've agreed upon, put it in the offer.
Right.
Like, I don't care if you ask for 7%. My seller's looking at the net. That's all that matters.
Right. And we'll negotiate that as it comes in. But you know, and I didn't see this path at first, but people were like, well, let's find a system to put it in. And I'm like, I don't know why, even if I knew it is set number, why I would disclose that to the other side? Like, hang back, make your offer, we'll talk about it, right? Like, and I think that not all the associations, NVAR has adopted the no cooperative compensation in their contracts, but a lot of the Maryland and MR and GCAR and DC, like a lot of them haven't yet. But I do think it's going that way nationally, especially from what I hear a lot of people, and I think that that's going to be the new path forward, I'm pretty sure of. Any other unpopular?
I was just going to say, I've been surprised that when I have a listing, more agents aren't calling and asking me, you know, is there compensation? I mean, I think we had 60 showings on a listing I just had recently, and 2 agents asked me, is the seller offering compensation? So I thought I would get that question all the time. I thought it would be unmanageable to get back to everyone. And people are they're showing the house and they're putting it in. And
I never ask.
And also, I go back to, I said this before, I don't understand how people never did buyer consultations. That to me that's where I made my money. That's where I gained my trust. That's where our relationship was built, in that hour and a half when it was just the clients and I'm coaching them. I'm saying, look, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here's the offer you'll be signing. Here are the questions I'm going to be asking you to fill in the offer. Here's what we're going to talk about, these 3 contingencies. And I coach them and I train them and I educate them. And they're leaving that office and they're not using anyone but me. And I know that. And the people I couldn't nail down to do a buyer consult, because there were some, those are the ones I lost control of. Their offers were all over the place. They were bouncing from agent to agent. And I knew going in, I already knew better. It was my fault. It's no one's fault in here but yours if you're not succeeding. And I don't mean to be rude or mean, but
facts.
Guys, we all have the internet. We all have access to the same YouTube videos and trainers and events. And there's no secrets. Just make it happen. Make it happen. There you go.
Nikki, I know you work with a lot of buyers, and we kind of got on this topic here. What are you finding as far as, you know, having these conversations, having the buyer agency agreements, asking for it in contracts? Is that all going like you would hope and pretty smoothly?
Yeah, it's kind of business as usual. I think a lot of people were getting all wrapped up in it months before it happened, and
the fear was catching us all a little bit.
Yeah. I just kind of control what I can control and just keep forging ahead. And, you know, you're having the conversation with them and, you know, you're putting your value out there. And I mean, at the end of the day, they have to buy a house, so they're agreeing to it.
Right. You know, and I think we all agree that the best path forward is to have an advocate fighting for you through this whole process. And if we can show them, like you're talking about a consultation, all the layers of what goes into this and why having a great pro like yourselves is worth it, then you're going to win.
That should definitely be, if you guys are, however you're getting your leads, if you're setting them up in some sort of a drip or something, that should definitely be in like the first or second drip email. Like, I have a copy I can send to you, but just, you know, what you bring to the transaction, how you differentiate yourself from other agents, because you're going to get agents out there who are going to say, well, 2% or 1.5%? What are you bringing to the table that, you know, that you're providing that value for the money that you're asking?
Good stuff.
I just wanted to add that in the state of Maryland, we've had buyer broker agencies since 2016. And honestly speaking, we should have really been having those conversations with our buyers, honestly, since 2016. So it really amazed me how many people weren't in that mind space where they were having the conversations with the buyers. And even before all of this happened, in the buyer broker agreement, it said what your fee is. I mean, it should have been there. And it also said that potentially it could be paid by the seller. So a lot of this was already there. So it's really not a big change because it was really already there.
It just didn't come up as much.
In Virginia, we were supposed to be using it too, like as long as I can remember.
Yeah,
But
the only problem is people waited till
1% of
the
people
last
did it.
minute and
Correct.
got it signed,
Yeah.
not up front. Like we're getting in a better practice of now.
But
right,
we're
everybody?
in a better space now. And so for buyers, now they're paying more attention to what we're supposed to be doing as agents as part of their process.
If anything, it helped because we had a reason before that now everybody has to do it. Whereas we might have been on it, but like if this 25% of the room over here never touched buyer agreements, I was like, well, the guy that I worked with last week didn't make me do it. But now it's like, well, then he's violating the law. Do you want to start working with somebody that's starting in that specific? So like, I think that if anything, the lawsuit helped us get that signed and make that conversation happen sooner where it should have always been happening. But we know that there's half the agents that are not dotting their I's and crossing their T's out there, which give us all a bad name and make the standard too low. So I think it's helped in some ways. All right, crystal ball time, and then I can feel somebody's going to walk behind me and start doing stuff. Crystal ball, 2025. What do we think that looks like for realtors, for the market? You see a text number just popped on the screen. If you have questions you want to ask these wonderful, successful ladies, text them in now, and Miss Mormon will sort through them in a second. I'll start with Cheryl. Crystal ball time.
Okay.
What does
listen.
2025 look like?
As long as everybody is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing with respect to the forms, making sure that your contracts are filled out completely and correctly, making sure that you have lead generation activities on your calendar on a daily basis, making sure that you have a business plan, you are going to be successful. Don't listen to all the noise out there. There's a lot of noise out there. There are a lot of people putting information out that is not correct. Make sure you go to reputable sources to get your information. Start with your managers and your brokers at your brokerages. And then I actually go to Risk Media usually gets it right. NAR actually has information where they get it right. So just pick and choose your resources that are reputable and including your local and your state associations, of course, because that's really
Cheryl's
important.
the president of from Maryland.
No, it's not a plug. It's true. That's what the associations are for. It's for us.
I know.
Right?
Educate all the people. You're doing a great job.
Right. But for the most part, it's up to you and your mindset what your 2025 looks like.
I love it. I love it. Great motivational words. Miss Elizabeth, what does 2025 look like?
That's
And she
literally my answer. It's
she
your
tag
mindset.
team two answers because one of our other questions we didn't get to was any publications or things you read. So look at you. Extra credit there, Cheryl. Good job.
I mean, if you focus on revenue producing activities during your day, and again, Jared talked a little bit about this, it's not about being busy or being like, oh, I have so much going on. I have this. Well, what of those things is going to move the dial? And if you can just take a minute, look at your day, and literally the exercise is write down what you do every 15-minute time block for a week. Just write it down. Okay, the first hour of my day, I did this, and this. Then I did, and then you look at it and you say, okay, what of this can I literally erase and replace with calls or follow-up or whatever the case may be, pop-bys or phone calls. Those are the things that are going to move the dial. If you're just busy because you're running errands and you're, okay, great. But if you want a successful 2025, dial down on your revenue producing activities. Stop and just think, is this revenue producing or is it just making me feel good because I'm busy? And just try to try to figure out how many of those you need a day, and you don't need 8 hours a day of it. You might need, I think Arturo, you said the other day, like, how much time do you really need to be productive and focused in a day to be successful? And that kind of resonated with me, because you don't need 8 hours a day. You need maybe 2 to 3. If you've got 2 to 3 highly productive hours a day, you're killing it more than the 4 of us are. I mean, that's all it really takes. So I would say same thing, just your mindset. What are you going to do to make successful? It doesn't matter what the interest rates are. It doesn't matter what the market's doing. It matters what you're doing in your head.
So, Nikki, I'm going to let you answer in a second. Justin, can you throw the text phone number back up there for us real quick in case we got any questions to come in? And then, Nikki, 2025, what does that look like in your opinion?
People way smarter than me tried to predict 2024, and they couldn't. So
I love that answer, because it's so
you
true.
are in one of the most transient markets across the country. People are going to transact. They're going to sell. They're going to buy. Just put your head down. Don't overthink it, and keep doing what you're doing.
Excellent answer. I love that. Miss Lauren.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to it, like, it's going to be what you want to make it. So I think you have the opportunity of 2025 to look like 2021, to be quite frank. I think that the market is already showing signs of picking up. We're seeing a lot of activity. We're seeing, to be honest, this is like the busiest October I've seen in a really long time. And I think your title companies would probably say the same thing. So it's time to, like, put on your big girl panties and let's go. It's time. Sorry, Donny.
I love the ending there, you know. I don't know that I'm going to put on my big girl panties, but I appreciate the part after that. Miss Sarah, start answering questions or asking questions. While we wait for Sarah to find the power button.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you the story about why it's now in my pocket. Okay. Ladies, you talked about the importance of buyer agency consultations and meeting with your clients and doing things in a professional way and not skipping steps. Do you find that there is a better way that is more impactful for you to have that buyer consultation? Is it in person? Is it in a restaurant where they're more comfortable? Is it in your office where you have that professionalism? Is it at their house? Is it over Zoom? So kind of think through how you like to do it, Cheryl.
Okay, so this is what I do. When I get a buyer client, the first thing that I do is we have a conversation on the phone. We make an appointment. I usually meet them over Zoom. After I get off the phone with them, we send them an email, and in the email it talks about, welcome to, Cheryl Abrams Real Estate. Thank you for contacting us. Here are the steps that we're going to go through in terms of your process. You're going to have to, here's the buyer brokers agreement. Here's information about us. Here's how we're going to help you. We wanted to send this to you as a read ahead before we meet on Zoom. Then we have the Zoom meeting, and then after that, we get them pre-qualified and then go out.
All right. Anybody else have a different process? Elizabeth.
So I was just going to answer the question about where or how. I have tested this because I do a lot. I've done a lot of buyer consultations, and I've done them in restaurants. I've done them at people's houses. I've done them in the office. I definitely think in the office is by far the best thing, because they are now coming to your domain. They're coming into your house. This is your control. So from the second they walk in the door, I'm controlling everything. I'm greeting them. I'm telling them, okay, we're going to walk this way. I'm starting to lead them. Psychologically, I'm now building that leadership, an image of a leader. I'm going to lead you through this transaction. Okay, please, you come into my office. I'm going to pull their chair out. You sit here, you sit here. Now I'm sitting here. So even from second one, I'm controlling, I'm leading, I'm giving them that confidence that you need to take them through the transaction. So when I've done it at restaurants, it's terrible.
Well, and who pays for the check?
Exactly. Who's paying? You meet at Panera. Okay,
Fair.
They get there first. They're in line.
They haven't even hired you yet.
And
Right.
you're sitting down.
Depends
and you
if
want
they
to get
sign or
something.
not. If you sign, I got that check.
Otherwise, we're going like halvesies.
Yeah.
It's awkward. There's no control. It's loud. I met with this really sweet older guy once, and he spilled his coffee like all over my croissant, and it was dripping. And I'm like, oh, it was on my papers. I can't do this. This is not professional. This is not the image I want. And so I highly suggest find a nice office space. I used to go to Panera, but again, there's all these ins and outs, and I can't control it. I can't control it.
Yeah.
So.
You don't
Definitely in person.
You don't bring your attorney doesn't take you to Panera. Your CPA doesn't meet you at your house. Like, or at a restaurant over salsa. Like, you go to hire a professional, your financial planner, you go into their office and you sit at their conference table. Absolutely, control the situation. That's it.
Nikki, any insight, any change? You agree? Fantastic. All right, so Cheryl, you talked about the fact that you reach out and touch your database, your client load every 6 months. How often are you guys reaching out in that face-to-face, voice-to-voice, and then on your normal touching of your database or client list, do you do that weekly? Do you do that monthly? How many times are you touching your people?
For me, every day, so we have them obviously sectioned off into A, B, C, and then past clients. So the houses that I send to people, I don't put anybody on drips. I hand select the houses. That's why it takes me 3 hours every morning for my buyers. My sellers, I hired an ISA because I've actually never really made a phone call in real estate. I don't like talking on the phone. I'll text the shit out of you, but I am not calling you. So we hired an ISA, so she makes phone calls. So there's something happening with people every couple days.
Any other marketing touches? How often you're doing it on a regular basis?
I was just going to say I think that your past clients are people that know, love, and trust you. It's so easy to get referrals from them. It's so much easier than trying to earn strangers' business on the internet. So for me,
not true.
Really,
I do love a stranger on the internet.
I'm all about strangers, but the ones you know are certainly easier.
But you know, we all are wired differently, right? You know,
Yes.
I wasn't as good at that stuff either. It sounds like Nikki's great at it, and Lauren's not afraid of it either. But now we don't say past clients anymore. We learn from Cheryl, right?
That's true. What
It's
do I say?
prospective clients. They're active clients and prospective clients,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, so I call everyone on their home anniversary. They get a birthday card in the mail. Every other week or so, they get an email from us, from our team. Every month, they get a postcard with what's going on in Northern Virginia. So they're getting different kinds of touches, right? A text, a card, a call, a this, a that, because everyone's different. A client event invitation once a year. So everyone, strikes the chord differently. But if they don't remember you or remember how to get in touch with you, they are going to go with someone else. So it's super, super important that you keep touch.
You know what a good touch is that doesn't feel like you're being weird by calling them, right? Because sometimes, you think about it in your head, it's like, why is my realtor calling me that sold me a house 2 years ago just to say hi? If my CPA called me just to say hi 2 years later, I'd be like, this is kind of odd. But if you friend everybody that you get on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and then just spend an hour, that's what I do in the morning when I'm drinking coffee.
Stalk them,
I stalk them and I see whatever they're posting, and then I either send them a gift for it, or I put a little note, or I laugh, or...
Just a little bit, because everybody's budgets are a little bit different, but we've heard gifts or send them a little something.
For birthday, I don't send anybody anything for anniversaries. I can't.
So when you send a gift,
It doesn't have to be expensive.
right? So what types of gifts do you send?
We have one. For birthdays, we send a $1 lottery card. You know how many times a day, because we have a lot of birthdays, that I get a text that says, man, if I would have won, I would have split it with you. Well, there you go.
Great engagement.
It's a buck. I don't know where Laura is. Laura is my ops manager who's, oh my God, I just hired her and she's just the most fan. If you don't have somebody to keep your shit together, get somebody, because it is the best money you have ever spent. Anyways, Laura has the spreadsheets and all the ideas, but this $1 lottery ticket is the best, and it doesn't break the bank.
Anybody ever win?
No.
They just don't tell you.
They just don't tell me. They're not splitting it with
That's
me.
okay.
You know what? I won. Time
Everybody
to buy a
would
house.
have split with you until they
But
went.
yeah,
Right.
but stalk them. Everybody's on social media in one way, shape, or another. So just leave little things. It's not weird. And then when you just remember, it's all about being top of mind.
Awesome. Other gift ideas?
Well, I would also say that people actually get more of an endorphin out of you responding on their social media than they do by the text message or the phone call or the email you send. It's actually a proven data point too. The more you engage with them on the content they put online, the actual more they feel connected within their life.
The only thing I would couch that with is, and maybe I'm wrong, is if 200 people say happy birthday on Facebook, I think it loses a little something.
I'm
That
talking
might
everyday
be-
stuff.
Everyday stuff, yes.
stuff.
Facebook
So why
is
don't
great,
you
but,
just
like,
make like a little video on Facebook Messenger and be like, hey, Susie, like,
no,
happy
that's
birthday.
good. I would say Facebook Messenger or a text, something different than the other 250 people
Right.
that said,
But I think
"Happy
there's a big
birthday,
difference
Donny,"
between somebody
or like-
clicking the button that says happy birthday. Than,
Yeah,
oh my
no.
gosh, I saw
Don't
little
do that.
Susie won the
Don't-
soccer
But
tournament.
on
Go Susie.
but
Don't
on
be- don't
something
be that
normal.
person.
If I
Right.
post my kid had a big win in overtime last night,
Correct.
comment on that because there's not
correct.
250
Is that
comments.
your
There's
humble,
80.
humble
Yes.
brag for the win last night?
Yeah, it was 1-0 in Briarwoods.
Yeah.
It was awesome. We're crushing
The
it.
everyday content, and I do
Yeah.
the same thing as Nikki, is like every morning or evening when I'm just kind of like having a little downtime, I scroll through and I'll look at their stories because that's usually people post more to their stories now than they do to their page or whatever it is. I'm like, if they had a new baby, oh my God, look at those cheeks. I can't wait to get my hands on
Right.
them. You know, like things like that. And then they have to respond.
I want to
It
eat
was
your
to a
baby.
grown woman. It
Yes,
was weird.
that is hilarious. Cheryl, thoughts on gifts?
Did you just have a birthday recently?
He did.
Yeah,
I said happy birthday to you.
you did.
On social
And it was
media.
meaningful to me. Thank you, Cheryl.
But I do want to say that you made a really great point because that's actually how I keep in touch with a lot of people between Facebook and Instagram. And people love it. They love the fact that you are watching and you are paying attention to them. And in some cases, they'll say, oh, by the way, I gave your name to, XYZ person. So it really does work.
Love it.
Elizabeth, gift ideas, budget? Do you guys do gifts? Not on the regular.
We do the birthday card and we
Yes.
put a $1 scratch off in it, and then Kline event parties.
Well, I think
postcard.
the key to take away on all this is it's $1, but it creates engagement versus going out and dropping thousands and thousands of dollars that you would do on a client event party.
The whole
right?
point is to just keep top of mind with your people. So everyone in this room knows Coca-Cola, JCPenney, right? These big names, but they constantly advertise. You think if they stopped advertising today, you wouldn't know who they were next week? No, you'd know who they are, but they still dump thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars into that. So why aren't we doing that at a lower level? I mean, even just a monthly touch, because that's how it works. It's marketing. It's constant repetitive touches, no matter how it is. If it's a call or a text or a gift, it doesn't have to be a gift. It can be, just a handwritten card. Because in the world of technology and social media and AI, everything's getting, it's all kind of like, to me, it all like blends, all the techie stuff kind of blends together. But when I hear someone's voice or I get a card or like a scratch off, like that's different to me. And that stands out
It's
in
time
my
and it's
mind.
intention, right? And it's effort. All right, biggest lead source. Nikki, we talked about you love your Zillow leads. Anybody else?
I was just going to say something about the gifts really
Go
quick to
ahead.
just give like a direct answer because I gift literally every week, probably between 10 and 25 gifts. Keep it under $10. If you can find it at Home Goods in bulk, great. I go on Amazon. I pick out something that's either for the home or something that's gender neutral, and it's almost always under $10.
So a non-money breaker. It doesn't break the bank, but it's impactful.
Correct.
Right. So top lead sources outside of Zillow leads.
How many zip codes are you in now, Nikki? I know you started with Falls Church City. I don't think that's probably the only one you're in now.
I think 10 or 12.
Okay. And
Yeah,
Do you do straight the pay leads, or are you on Zillow Flex?
No, I'm not on Flex. I'm on Premier Agent, and
Okay.
you're about to vomit. My spend is about $25,000 a month.
I didn't know if you were going to out that or not.
I know.
Oh,
I
I'll
wasn't
add it.
going to ask Nikki. I was
Yeah.
wondering, but I wasn't going to ask.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty disgusting. Hers is the same, and it's funny we're in the same zip codes, but
But they
it's-
don't
it's
keep doing it
not-
because it's not working for
It's
you.
Right.
It does work. It's gotten, when I first started in 2017, my first zip code cost me $1,500, right? And that was for Falls Church City, which is a very popular zip code. And now here we are, and I know there's a couple other people here
They're
who
abusing
do
us.
Zillow, but there's so many other things you can do. Like the other things you can do, you can optimize your Google My Business. You can write blogs, but don't use GPT to write them because Google will pound you down for it. Write blogs for your website. Obviously the open houses, but I just love online leads because I am a complete introvert and I do way better with a stranger than I do with somebody I know.
Also, it's all leverage, right? At the end of the day, like she's leveraging her time through paid leads versus sitting at multiple open houses a week or whatever it is. So like we all have our things, right? For me, Zillow leads and online leads. It's leverage based.
Plus they're like ready to go. I mean, those
They're
people are
raising
ready to
their hand.
go.
Okay, so I get the majority of leads from past clients. and also Home Light, and Bank of America, and Navy Federal.
Like, that's a
So
good
partnership programs that you have.
Partnership.
So
programs.
partnerships are really important. And I just got a lead 2 weeks ago from a new home sales representative.
Oh, wow,
So they are giving leads. I mean, people want to come in there and they want to buy homes, and sometimes people have to sell their house. They know who the good real estate agents are, and they're only going to call the agents that they know can get the job done to help their clients come in. So go make those connections with people at the bank and people at the new home communities.
Elizabeth, top lead source.
Yeah, top lead source is open houses. It's free. It's just 2 to 3 hours a week. I find them enjoyable, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do an open. And if you guys ever have questions about that, feel free to call me.
Not to pick on Elizabeth, but nothing is free, right? So if you guys have never done that exercise where you take your yearly gross or net income, whatever you want to do, and then divide it by the hours you work, you do have an hourly rate. So nothing is free. So if you've never done that, get your hourly rate so you can see whether or not vacuuming your house for an hour, like my hourly rate is like $900 and something, right? It makes no sense why I'm vacuuming my house, but I love it. So your hourly rate, right, is important. So whatever you decide to do.
Cleanest house on the block.
Right.
I really do.
I do
Whatever
have
you
several
decide
questions
to
in here
do.
about your vacuuming too, by the way.
Yeah,
That's
She
hilarious.
makes you leave her your shoes on the front porch.
There you go. So the only thing I'm going to say about this is, and Elizabeth, I love open houses as well, is I think whatever it is, whether it's partners, open houses, Zillow leads, the real battle is your mindset going into it. So many people go into Zillow leads and they expect them to fail. Or they go into open houses and they're begrudgingly going and they'd rather
Right.
be doing something else on their Sunday. If your mindset is either one of those things, it's going to fail no matter what. It's about how you go into that activity. Nikki goes into the idea with Zillow leads much different than most people in this room. She expects them to succeed, whereas most of it expect that call to be a terrible lead. Whereas it sounds like she expects everyone to buy a house with her tomorrow, and good on her. That's why more of them do than probably anybody else in the room. And Elizabeth goes into open houses with an excited idea that it's something fun that she wants to do inside, and she's going to meet people. Well, Elizabeth's going to be great at an open house. If she went like, geez, I'd rather be home watching the game, I'd rather be doing whatever, it's not going to go well. Your mindset controls so much of what you do, no matter what it is you do.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to wrap this panel up with the final question. What is one thing that you wish you had been told as a brand new agent that you wish every agent in here knew?
I'm
All
gonna
right,
just
Elizabeth,
say real
jump
quick,
in.
Google reviews have been golden. If I knew right away for every single person I close, I asked them, if nothing else, just do a Google review for me. That has gotten us so much additional business.
Fantastic. Lauryn, one piece of stellar advice.
I mean, I think it's been said, to be honest, like, you are in control. So you are going to do as much as you want or think you can and will do.
Cheryl.
Already, it's really about wealth building and understanding how to financially work your business, making sure that you are saving enough money for all of those buckets that we have to put money into. It's important.
Great advice.
Absolutely. And I'll say Nikki's
Nikki, you got one or no?
expect to win. Expect to win.
Listen, every appointment I go on, I talk to people like I'm already their agent. They love that shit. Like,
Yes.
just do it.
Yeah, and Donny told the story about how we first saw Nikki speaking on a panel, and the one thing that really grabbed me in on her presentation was she said, nobody had told me I couldn't, so I did. And I was like, I like her. If we just had 1 ounce of nobody told me I couldn't, so I did, we could take over the world, right?
What about that other fun one, buy or die?
Yes.
Oh, that was a good one too.
Yeah, that
She
was
did
good.
that one
Buy
that
or
day, too.
die. Absolutely.
I need to give my one tip
Yeah,
because I love this.
okay,
And I know I talk a lot. 93-13. Just remember those numbers. I wish somebody had pounded them on my head at the beginning of my career. 93% of people like you today. Only 13% of people will use you next time unless you change that paradigm. If you remember those things, your career will be way more successful than the alternative.
Absolutely. Guys, round of applause for this wonderful team up here. Thank you so very much.